Let's get your details now of a Delhi High Court judge who was transferred following the recommendation of the Supreme Court Collegium. Why? Because large amounts of cash was recovered from his bungalow after a fire incident. Now, here's what happened. A fire reportedly broke out at Justice Yashwant Verma's official residence while he was not in the city. His family members alerted the fire brigade and the police. After the fire was extinguished, interestingly, the fire brigade personnel then discovered a huge amount of cash in different rooms of the bungalow, leading to questions of where this kind of cash came from and questions about whether this is proof of corruption. But once this came to the fore, the Chief Justice of India, Sanjeev Khanna, convened a meeting of the Collegium, and it was unanimously decided that Justice Verma will be transferred from the Delhi High Court back to the Allahabad High Court, where he previously served till October 2021. Sources say discussions are also underway on whether an investigation should be kicked off, and post that on whether there will be impeachment proceedings against Justice Verma.
Transfer is a normal thing. This is not a stigma, and it is appropriate when such allegations. I am not admitting that there can be any there is any situation of corruption, because I feel sometimes some people who are not getting favorable result, they may also plant. And here I feel when the judge was himself not there, family member were not there, and such thing happens, fire happens, and then video being made, I feel there is some suspicion, and the Collegium of the Supreme Court should make thorough inquiry.
Certainly, the issue of corruption within the judiciary is a very serious issue, and this is not something that has been articulated by senior counsel and lawyers in this country for the first time. It's been going on for years, and public statements have been made. So I think that it's time for the Supreme Court to start looking at issues of how the appointment process should take place, that it should be more transparent.
The way our system is structured is that the judiciary self-regulates itself. So it's really incumbent upon the Chief Justice and the Collegium to take appropriate action only after due process and formal inquiry. So I really don't know the facts of the case beyond what's being reported in the paper, but I'm sure the senior judicial minds of this country will follow a process and then act on it.
Let's tell you about exactly what happened. How did these piles of cash actually come to the fore at the Delhi High Court judge's residence? Here's what happened. First, there was a fire that broke out at his residence. This is Justice Verma's home. He wasn't there at the time. He was out of town. So his family immediately called the police and called the fire brigade to put out this particular fire. It wasn't a massive blaze, so the fire was immediately doused. But responders, fire brigade personnel who were at the scene at his residence, interestingly bumped into huge cash piles inside several rooms of the bungalow. Immediately, the local police informed top officials about this accidental recovery because they didn't go in there to find this cash, and so they were completely taken aback by it. But remember, for a sitting judge, the process that's followed even in this kind of a case is very different. So the Collegium immediately took note of what happened and has transferred Justice Verma back to the Allahabad High Court. So from the Delhi High Court, he's been moved now to the Allahabad High Court. There are questions, however, on whether more stringent action should be taken against Justice Verma. Here's what in fact happened as far as the investigation or the action against him goes. Few of the Supreme Court Collegium members have also pushed for the judge's resignation, saying we must set a precedent with this kind of a case. An in-house inquiry will take place if the High Court judge, Judge Verma, refuses to resign on his own. He'll be asked to step down. If he says no, there will be an in-house probe. Now, at this point, the High Court judge will be asked to hand over his formal response to give his version of events of why he had these piles of cash in his residence, and this will be asked by the CJI. CJI Khanna can also set up an in-house inquiry committee against the judge, especially if he's not convinced by the response that's been given by the judge over why he had that cash. And if there is a suspicion of misconduct, then the judge can also be asked to immediately step down. removal process really will be something that the CJI will have to go to the government for, because for the removal of a judge, it has to go to Parliament. But interestingly, and this is what you heard also, all of those comments coming in, with several questions now being asked, one about whether there's corruption within the judiciary, and second about whether the judiciary should be governing the judiciary. The Collegium taking action right now against the judge has ensured his transfer. But beyond that, what will happen remains a mystery.